Are griots still useful? Griots were people that knew everything there was to know about their family, village, or kingdom. They held high positions in the kingdoms that they were from and were essential people to have when it came to continuing to preserve the history of the ancestors. Now there aren't as many griots, and they don't have the same roles that they used to have. However, they still know the history of their people. Griots are very beneficial people. Family griots could preserve family history, and in turn, we'd have access to all there is to know about the family that we come from. The other types of griots could help preserve and teach us the history about Africa and history that has to do with our time in captivity. Griots are people who preserve the traditions, oral traditions, as well as the knowledge of their ancestors. They are responsible for keeping track of all the births, deaths, marriages for that particular family or village. In the words of Jeli Mamadou Kouyaté, a griot from Mali, we are vessels of speech. We are repositories which harbor secrets many centuries old. The art of eloquence has no secret for us. Without us, the names of kings would vanish into oblivion. We are the memory of mankind. By the spoken word, we bring to life deeds and exploits of kings for younger generations. Jeli Mamadou Kouyaté said that he learned that information from his father, Jeli Kiadine Kouyaté, who was also from Mali. Some griots were family griots and others were royal griots. Kings would appoint griots that they trusted to advise them. The royal griots not only taught the kings about their ancestors, but would help the kings understand current problems in relation to the problems in the past, as well as help them solve problems in the present using historical information. Many griots sang praise songs or told stories while playing an instrument. Some instruments might be the kora, a 12-string instrument that combines the features of a lute and a harp. The balafon, an instrument similar to a xylophone, and nguni, the traditional guitar of Mali. Some instruments were given to the griots by jinn and passed down through their family, and other instruments were made. As I have stated in the previous paragraph, griots had many roles that all revolved around stories being about the past. Griots were the only ones in the village that learned and memorized the stories, songs, events, and names from that particular family or village. Griots were the ones who helped keep the knowledge of the past alive. Now we have cell phones and the internet to help us preserve, remember, and find information about our past, but back then those types of things did not exist. Griots could help people make decisions, personal or large scale, by telling you what type of similar decisions were made in the past and how they ended up working out, to help you decide which path would be the right path to take to achieve what you want to achieve. Without the knowledge of the griots that the griots held, there could have been a lot of unwanted situations in that family, community, or kingdom, because there would be no one to tell whoever was making the decision the possible outcomes of that decision based on historical evidence. Griots were also important because they made sure that all generations had access to the benefits that came from knowing their history. They were also a source of entertainment. Unlike other forms of entertainment, the stories and the songs that were performed by the griots contained important information, and although people might have been attracted to the songs and stories because it was something to do, they would end up learning things that they might not have known otherwise. There are still griots around today. Some of them get paid to go around the world and sing their praise songs and tell the stories that have been passed down through the generations. Although we may not know which part of Africa we are from, some of our ancestors may be from the same places where the griots are from. The griots are very important to us because through them we get to know how things were in the past and how our ancestors might have lived and some of the things they might have gone through. Through the griots, we are able to build a better connection with our history and culture. Knowing our history and culture is important because it gives us more insight into who we actually are. Griots would be very beneficial for our community. Having griots who know information about Africa. Information that we cannot find on the internet may help us in creating our own African spaces. They also can make sure that the information that we have been teaching is accurate. I believe that there would also be a good use for griots that would trace the history of our people once we got to the States. I think that a lot of griots today might not know what happened to Africans when we were captured and put into captivity. If there were griots that knew about that part of our history, all the way to what's happening now, not only would we learn about what happened to us in captivity in detail, but it would be easier for our people to know who the enemy was. If there were griots who talked, sang songs, and told stories about that part of our past, it'd be easier for our people to focus on fighting our oppressors and creating a new African society that benefits us. Griots would also be beneficial for families. I've noticed that people on my dad's side of the family don't know as many stories that have to do with things that happened in the past, unlike my mom's side of the family. If there was a family griot, then I might have access to some of those forgotten stories. These forgotten stories may hold lessons that would be beneficial to me and my family at some point in time. Griots preserve the traditions and knowledge of the people. They keep track of all the deaths, births, and marriages in the family or village. Royal griots were advisors for the kings, and they taught the kings about their ancestors. Griots were the only ones who knew all of the history of their people and taught their people that history using songs and stories. Griots could make sure that information that we are learning and teaching about our history is correct. Family griots would be extremely helpful because they could keep track of all the family history because that type of stuff is not being sought after and as a result is being lost. Griots would also be really helpful in terms of knowing the history of our people when we were in captivity all the way to the stuff that is happening now. Griots are very important and useful. They are people who should not be taken for granted because they hold information that could be extremely beneficial. And if the griots disappear, then all of the ancient knowledge disappears with them. These are my sources, and thank you for watching.